Hey, it's been a busy week in wrestling, and we're only on the 24th of January. Welcome to BunkaMania Wrestling, everybody. Happy New Year to you if you are watching us for the very first time. I am Jeremy Graves. I am joined by the Decadane, Mr. Ian Bolton, and of course, our good friend, Harriet Manga Girl. We're here to talk a lot of WWE stuff because, quite frankly, on the day we're recording this, Wednesday, the 24th of January, a lot of stuff has happened. A heck of a lot of stuff. And we're going to be delving into some bits and bobs, and we thought that would be a good way to kind of get things going on the BunkaMania channels, of which, if you are a first-time listener and or watcher, thank you very much for checking us out. If you're on YouTube, why not hit the subscribe button? If you enjoyed this podcast, give it a like and let us know what you think about what we're going to be discussing about in the comments. Whichever podcatcher, I believe that's the phrase now, that you have found us on in audio-only form, we hope you enjoy it. Give us a subscribe, and why not tell a friend as well? So, folks, there is a lot to discuss here, and just in the interest of getting discussion going, I think the biggest story of the week, arguably, or in many cases, unquestionably, is WWE Raw, and from an international point of view, WWE, in a lot of territories, including the UK, moving to Netflix, essentially, from 2025, this time next year. Now, we've sort of had like a personal chat in like WhatsApp groups and stuff, so we've kind of already dissected a bit of this, which is why we're going to be discussing this topic. So, Harriet, I will turn the floor to you, as it were, for a moment. When we first saw that news, can you recall your initial reaction?
I think I dropped my phone. I was like, whoa, and then I quickly screenshotted and then sent it, and I was just like, it actually happened. Because I know it was rumored for a long time in regards to it being streamed, but it was a case of where it's going to be streamed. But I just thought, oh my God, the Mad Lad's actually done it. And also the second thought was, I can finally watch Raw! Because I don't have a TNT account because it's too expensive. And it's just like, so first of all, it's like, oh my God. And then, yes! Very much so. That was my first initial reaction to that.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. How about you, Ian? Because I think out of like our group of friends, as it were, I think you were the one that shared the news. So how did you first find out about it? Do you remember your first reaction before you unleashed the news onto all of us?
I mean, I was just casually kind of browsing Twitter during a quiet moment at work, and then all of a sudden it's like WWE on their own official Twitter went, "Oh yeah, we're taking the show, we're taking Raw to Netflix in January 2025," and it's like at that point it was like, "Oh okay." Because I had initially just seen the news I saw the news for Raw and going, oh yeah, it'll be on the US, UK, Canada, and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, okay, cool. Raw's on Netflix. That's not too bad. That's quite cool. I didn't actually twig the whole, oh, by the way, if you're outside of the US, these territories that we've listed, they're going to get everything. In theory, they're going to get Raw, they're going to get NXT, they're going to get Smackdown, and they're going to get the premium live events as well, plus original program and stuff like that. And I didn't comprehend that bit until I think we started chatting quite a bit, and then I looked at the press release and went, oh. So my $9.99 is going, and chances are, and I think we'll probably touch on this in terms of the Netflix side of things. I can imagine a slight price increase from Netflix. If they're going to get a ton of content, which apparently I think they're due to pay like $500 million per year. If they do the full 10 years that they've signed up for, that's $5 billion, I think. Yes.
So, yeah, because I think to sort of expand on what you're saying, I'll let you continue. Yeah. I believe, if I remember correctly, it's a 10-year deal worth $5 billion US. But to me, some of the crucial parts are they've got an option to extend for another 10 or opt out after 5, which is quite an intriguing part from a business point of view. So, yeah, that's kind of the crux of it, as it were. Please continue.
So it's kind of with all that content, and there's lots and lots of hours of content, and all obviously the live content side of things as well. I can imagine a Netflix increase, or maybe a small add-on price. So basically, if you'd like all the WWE programming on Netflix, pay an extra $5 or something on your current subscription, which I think at the moment I'm paying, I think 14, 15 quid. I might be wrong. I just happily just pay Netflix because I watch quite a lot of Netflix. So it's just like, I'll just have it on the 4K. Thank you very much. But yeah, it just I think from a UK perspective, it kind of means the network is pretty much on its last legs. And and it's kind of been that kind of spinning its wheels a bit, because Peacock would be getting content that we wouldn't necessarily get on the UK version. For example, the series
documentary?
I think the Cody documentary may or may not be on our current network, so we might need to do a little bit of research on that one quickly. But in terms of other stuff, the show that I really wanted to watch that they did recently was Evil, which is talking about all the villains, like looking at key villains of WWE, talking to them. So they had like interviews with Randy Orton, Reigns, and all that sort of stuff. And it was like, cool, that's a cool documentary. I know it's going to be slightly filler puff piece, but it's quite a cool way they're doing it. There's a clip that's probably done the rounds of Randy Orton showing how he gets really fired up to being villainous before going out by just kind of pushing all the blood into his face and just kind of shouting loudly into a camera for 5 seconds. But that's it. But the frustrating thing is there have been some cool ideas coming on Peacock, and we don't see them on the UK version. We'll get episodes of, say, Stone Cold's podcast. We'll get WWE 24. We'll get the ones that we've already established. But when it comes to Peacock exclusive originals and documentaries, we don't get everything. So if this means that we will finally get all that stuff as well, yay, I approve. So yeah, I mean, in all honesty, it's like I think I was expecting Amazon more likely because of the amount of discourse that had been about Amazon, especially with their football, especially with tennis over here in the UK. So for Netflix to just kind of go out of nowhere, oh yeah, we're going to do the wrestling, and over here, and I think from my experience of seeing Netflix doing live events, I think they've only done a couple like live stand-up stuff. So it's like they've dabbled a bit, but probably not. I think they're looking to move into live quite a bit, and I think getting WWE on board is probably an intent for that.
Yeah, I think they've done, like you said, a few stand-up things. They're going to be doing the SAG AFTRA Awards, I think it is, from like the
they are, yes,
yeah.
So that will be, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on that now. Maybe not necessarily just to see how it all works, but more just did it go well point of view. And there have been one or two other things as well. But I mean, in terms of my reaction, my initial thought was flipping heck. Whoever got that deal over the line, flipping well done. Because I think it is probably one of the best business decisions that has been made from WWE's point of view, regardless whether it was Netflix that approached them or vice versa. The idea that, well, first of all, it's history making because Raw won't be on TV. Like, let alone over here, but just in America. Like, it won't be. It will be online. And how are they going to cater to international markets for ad breaks and stuff? There's kind of lots of like logistical things I'm very curious about, but I'm not going to get into all those weeds. But just the idea that you're going to be taking it from, I don't know what the viewership of the USA Network is, but let's just say Netflix globally has got a far bigger subscriber base, quite frankly. So I'm not sure how that would work out between UK, US, Latin America, and whatever the other territories. I think Canada, memory serves, whichever the other international one is. But already, you arguably people can have there'll just be more access to WWE programming just from the get-go. Because over here in the UK, for anyone that's not aware, it's currently on TNT Sport, formerly BT Sport, and you've got to pay in the region of another £30 to £40 a month just to be able to access BT. And you get Raw, Smackdown, I think NXT, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but you don't get the pay-per-views, if memory serves.
I don't think NXT,
no. So just to come in on NXT was taken off recently off TNT Sport. So NXT at the moment is aired, I think, almost instantaneously on the UK network after it's broadcast in the US. So basically, you should get that imminently as soon as the episode's done on the USA network. That's my understanding.
So it's kind of like an anime simulcast, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Pretty much. Pretty much. But yeah, so yeah, at the moment for the UK, the core place to find any WWE programming is TNT. So I think
that's a big barrier to entry, quite frankly, because not a lot of people over here have TNT. In fact, actually, wait, I'm going to pull this up because someone who I follow on my Twitter is actually a good bloke who goes by the name of Brit Res Away Days on Twitter, by the way. Just give him a little shout out. Their perspective, which sums up my feelings, is the Netflix deal is a massive, massive boost in availability and visibility of WWE programming in the UK. TNT Sports is in approximately 1.5 million UK homes. WWE Network is likely to be in less than 100,000. Netflix is in 16.5 million UK homes.
Yeah.
That just puts it into perspective right there, just even from the Raw perspective.
Yeah. And just putting out there, well, the fact is I talked about possibly an increase in add-on prices. There, I would not be surprised when they go live in January next year. I will not be surprised if they don't do any kind of price increase on the platform to begin with, because you can just say to your core audience or new members who want to join Netflix or resubscribe to Netflix is, look, as part of your subscription, you're getting WWE added on, all the shows live, even the big events. You're getting that for the next couple of months as part of your subscription, and then
3 to 6 months maybe.
Yeah, and it's like it's gonna start during WrestleMania season next year. It's gonna start in the run up to Rumble 2025. So it's like, this is like, if you're going to launch it at any point, this is by far the best point to bring people in. Not during a quiet lull in October to January, because you'll have Survivor Series, which isn't really a big event anymore. And there's no major storyline. I mean, we had major storylines, but there's been no major sort of emphasis on like big things happening in like the last quarter of the year per se. It's basically it's the cooling down period before you hightail it all the way to Royal Rumble and beyond. And I think Netflix starting at that point in time next year is the smartest move they can make.
Also, the fact that not everyone's going to watch all the sport on TNT, but Netflix, there's a plethora of so much shows that people watch. It makes sense with the numbers, because I think I probably wouldn't watch on TNT apart from wrestling and the odd football match. But apart from that, so that's and also 25 quid, or well, more than that. It's a lot to pay for like 4 shows a week.
Yeah, less now with NXT being gone.
Yeah, Smackdown's on TNT as well.
I mean, in our household, we did have TNT Sports, mostly because the household also watched quite a bit of football. But but I think sometimes the availability of some of the matches, because some of the matches, you get some of the big high profile ones, but it's not always you get high profile ones. You get elements of football. There was more leaning towards, I think, European and international football over like UK. There used to be a good chunk where it did a lot of the FA Cup side of things, but they would watch it. So other members of the household watch it for football. I would use it for WWE, and I cannot. It's like I cannot justify 30 quid just to watch 3 shows. I mean, I loved waking up on a Saturday morning, booting up TNT or the BT Sports app, and then just watching like the 2-hour edit, like the 90-minute edited Smackdown without all the adverts. It was just nice just to get that going, because they go, okay, I can have breakfast with this, but I couldn't justify it at 30 quid. So it's like, to have that ability now with Netflix, again, it's like, cool. It's just, it is having like that home, that kind of focused home for all the stuff. If you're a WWE fan and you've got a Netflix subscription, it's perfect. It generally is.
Well, after you, Harriet.
Oh, no, I was going to say, like, the amount of people, I think, who have said, well, I was going to cancel my subscription, or they've unsigned, and now suddenly this has come up, and they're just like, right, okay, when it comes around, I'm definitely going to sign up again. So definitely have worked their magic there with that, in regards to, there definitely probably will be higher numbers, more than the 16 million at this point in January next year, I'd say.
Because this is a bit of a weird comparison to make, but it now moving to Netflix is going to make it so accessible, and it's not even free TV. It's almost the equivalent of being on free TV but paid, because you can just Netflix is so accessible on pretty much any device you want. It has a large amount of content, but now from a subscriber point of view, from Netflix's business numbers, they're going to have now, just counting Raw for a second, discrediting the other shows for a second, they're going to have, we assume, a still at least 3-hour show weekly, which is a reason for people to be subscribed. So you get a guaranteed, 15 hours a week of new programming, effectively, at least. Yeah. That's a reason to be subscribed. Yes, I had to try and do quick mental maths there. I nearly failed miserably, but beside that.
And then you got the pay-per-views as well.
Exactly, you've had the pay-per-views. You think about that original programming. To my knowledge, Netflix has done the odd kind of simulcast related thing. They've done the odd anime thing here and there, maybe something else.
Oh, yeah.
But nothing akin to this, where it's as far as we're aware, and we're surmising at this time because we don't know yet, it's a year away, it's going to be live weekly. And how will that affect things? It's a reason to have people keep subscribing. And that's why I think it's a fantastic business move, quite frankly. It can only do wonders for Netflix's numbers because, as we know, being wrestling fans are quite a hardcore breed of fandom. And if they want to see something, they will go out of their way to try and make it a way of seeing it. But it being on Netflix, it's like the whole Spotify argument from a few years back, where it was like, in terms of like pirating music and stuff, if you can make it convenient and really simple to access the thing you want, people will pay for it. And this is almost the equivalent of that now for WWE. The network, it's done its job. But like you said, Ian, there have been some drawbacks, some things not appearing. Also, quite frankly, the interface is clunky as hell, in my opinion.
Oh,
It's not good. It's not good.
It's not good
I
at all.
tried using it earlier and I was just like, oh, even now trying to find the Cody Rhodes, which isn't on the UK network, I checked. But even then, it's just like, what? You type in a certain word and it brings up a clip and it's just like, no, I actually just want to see the whole show. I don't really
Show me the match. Show me the match. No, a clip. No, match. That's what you're supposed to do. I don't have the tapes. I don't have the tapes for you right now. Come back later.
Oh, go on. Sorry, after you. Then I'll come back to like a little business point I've just thought of.
I was going to touch on the whole kind of the 3-hour side of things and the ad side of things, because Netflix does have an ad tier as well at the moment. It does have an ad tier. So the question's going to be how. I mean, this is a question that's going to be answered over the next couple of months, and it's clearly part of the logistics that they're thinking through right now. Is like, does it remain 3 hours? I think without adverts, it's roughly a 2-hour 15 show. So it's kind of like, do you make it 3 hours for those on the ad tier? Do you make it less for those who don't have the ad tier and so forth? It's like, if there are adverts, if we are going to have ad breaks, are we going to have will we have directly Netflix only one? Will Netflix be open to the idea of letting other people advertise on its platform? Again, other revenues and money coming in via WWE, because they could say to WWE, hey, if you've got a partnership and they are advertising on our platform, if we get a percentage of that income, fine, do it. It's kind of like there's so many different there's so many different cogs and wheels in this that is fascinating to see unfold in the next couple of months. But yeah,
and if I may, I think that's a great point for me to jump in. If I may, I think from the international TV deal side of things as well, this is going to be very interesting because from a UK perspective, it's basically now been announced BT Sport's done in the next year.
Yeah.
Oh,
like they've just think about it. They're just out. I assume, unless they're going to carry on doing it, but that would make a little bit.
No.
They basically told you, even if it does going to carry, they basically told you, even if it is going to carry on BT. Why would you? It's all going to be on the network. Like all of it. On Netflix. Sorry, wrong word. On Netflix. From an international point of view, I think in terms of the length of the show, that may depend on what TV deals they've signed internationally. Because I know they recently signed a fairly big deal in Germany. And they've also really upped their game in terms of trying to get like an indoor into Japan. Which may or may not link to the recent news about Kazuchika Okada leaving New Japan and stuff. That's perhaps a topic for a different day. But they've already got other territories they're really trying to build things around. And it's just, they're not going to want to risk that so soon. But it's very clear that the long-term goal here, if there's already a 10-year deal in place, they basically want globally WWE to be on Netflix. Which, again, is probably one of the smartest business decisions they've done in a heck of a long time.
It's a global leader. So if it's a global leader in streaming, it's one of the biggest platforms on streaming. So it's usually, most people either have an Amazon or Netflix. It is usually one of those. Some people have Disney Plus. It's like, and then we go out to like the niche streaming services like, say, Crunchyroll and all that sort of stuff. But without a question of a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, if you definitely have on-demand stuff, you have one of those two. And the fact it's on one of the big leading ones as well is opportunity. And with more, and it said in the press release, more territories to be added to that already announced list.
Yep.
So it's a statement. It's a statement of intent.
Yeah.
And we were talking about pricing as well. Like, I currently pay for the network, but I don't have a Netflix account. It's not because I don't want Netflix. It's just something had to go. Literally, like, as soon as WWE Network is no longer needed, if you will, I'll just move it over. I'll just basically use that money to go towards Netflix. That's how it's going to work out.
The
Consolidation.
question was the one thing I found interesting. I think a few people have picked up on it as well. It didn't say Monday Night Raw. It just said Raw. So
It did not. No.
does this factor that it might not be on Mondays anymore? Because I know that was a talked about thing for a while.
It's
So-
probably. I think it's probably going to come down to what Netflix and WWE or TKO actually think is the viable kind of way to do it. They could look at, if we do it this time on Monday, we'll get these numbers. But if they find that sort of sweet spot where they can get maximum kind of intrigue. I mean, heck, that's why I like a wrestling show on a Friday night into a Saturday morning, because definitely within 12 hours of it going out in America, most people in the UK have probably woken up and watched it. And it's the same with having a show on a Saturday, because the Saturday, again, people might watch it live or they'll watch it first thing on a Sunday. It's a lot of different opportunities. But yeah, the fact that it doesn't mention Monday means that it could very well look at other dates. Days.
I'm wondering if they've intentionally done that so that it doesn't necessarily date the show each week, if that makes sense. Because it may be like a slight marketing thing. You just call it WWE Raw. There's no like date specific thing. It's like if you look at Dynamite, for example, I think it airs. It's either on a Friday or a Saturday here in the UK, like on ITV. But it's always just called AEW Dynamite. Like Collision's the only one that actually says Saturday Collision. As well, and you've got the whole Elton John theme. But in terms of branding, Dynamite is kind of fairly date agnostic, aside from when there's pay-per-views going on, it gets a bit muddy. So it may just be they're just going to kind of rebrand them to not have the days in, as it were. So it's kind of easier to figure out, if that makes sense. It'll be interesting to see how they do it from a season point of view. That's what I'm more interested in. How are they going to do that?
Oh yeah, because they have new seasons, don't they, for that season premiere?
I think the way they'll probably do it, they'll do it in a way where it's like the by year, and basically you'll go to the year and it'll just say date of air. So it won't have a name or something. It's like, this is the broadcast from the 1st of June or something like that. Yeah.
God, that library's going to be massive. It really is.
They're going to. Netflix probably might want to think about refining that a little bit, because it is
just have its own section. Literally, that's it.
That brings up another thing which was mentioned in passing earlier by one of you two. I forget who, sorry, but in terms of like the other content and how they're going to split it up, and this is like obviously pie in the sky thinking now. It wouldn't surprise me if they make Raw, and let's just throw SmackDown and NXT in for the sake of discussion, if they have those 3 shows being part of like a Netflix regular tier, whatever that is, like ad-free and stuff, but then they have like an upgrade for the additional like historical content and stuff and the extra programming.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Because
I could
everything.
Just like a little top up, if you will.
Yeah, I can see it happening. But yeah, I'm just thinking of like the standard Netflix layout. And basically you have the home and then you have movies and TV. I can very easily see them doing, like on that sidebar, they'll have maybe movies, TV, and maybe just the WWE logo for those audiences that have everything. Because then you click that and then basically it's like, here is everything. You want to watch Raw, you want to watch SmackDown, you want to watch NXT, you want to catch up on live events. Do you want to learn about watch any of the Royal Rumbles? Do you want to watch any of the Survivor Series? Here you go. Have fun. That sort of stuff.
Go
There's lots of by the numbers videos.
Oh, gosh.
I have to admit, I have watched the by the numbers one for this year, and part of me is just like, yeah, it's cheesy, but by God, did we get the blood pumping for this weekend?
It's great. It's great. I watched the 2001 Rumble because that was my very first one that I watched. I watched it today because I'm like, okay, now I'm really hyped.
With WWE Hall of Famer Drew Carey.
Oh God, when I heard it, I was like, yeah, this is the Rumble I
Kane,
remember.
Have a dollar, Kane. No, all right, I'll leave.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the Rumble. It's funny you mentioned the Rumble because the other bit of news, which could very well play into how things proceed this weekend and at WrestleMania, is the fact that The Rock, Mr. Dwayne Johnson, is now on the TKO, the now parent company of WWE and UFC. He is now on their board of directors and also now just owns the trademark to The Rock as well. So the fact that
he wanted to be head of the table.
That's the table he was talking about. That's the table he was talking. He wasn't
That's the
talking about a
table.
match. He just wanted to sit there at the table and tell Roman, "Hey, I'm the boss now."
Oh, so many great memes, so many great memes. But there is now part of me that's thinking, just to deviate for a second, I now am going to say I think The Rock's winning the Rumble and going to Mania for the main event.
Oh
because
no.
I just see he said he could make the biggest main event of all time. Why not confirm it 3 months out, basically? But that's a discussion potentially for another time. But
I just quickly, I feel the better booking. Going on the interview if he did on ESPN saying doing it would be the biggest WrestleMania of all time. I think you do what you did for Cena and Rock is basically it's set up the day after WrestleMania, maybe. So maybe
we meant twice in a lifetime. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, not
Price. It's like it'll be The Rock, John Cena, and Roman Reigns. No. So no, basically, I think if you really want to get, and again with Netflix and get a global audience on this, especially with Red Notice 2 possibly coming at some point. I don't know.
Curse of the Golden Egg, whatever it was called.
Another golden egg muddying up the WWE waters. Basically, yeah. Have Rock in some way cause Roman to lose the title or something like that at Mania, or have a moment with, or the night after Raw when he's lost the night after Raw when he's lost the title, all that sort of stuff. And then basically you start building to that match for a year. And then you've got the whole year to build this story. You can play into the fact that The Rock is a board of director member now at the company that Roman Reigns has dominated for the last 3-4 years. There's some really good mileage there. It's like the final saga of the Bloodline, which would then completely finish at Mania 25. It's like, I think that works. But I mean, it's the knee-jerk reaction of let's just get The Rock in now. I get it. I do. But I feel it's kind of like a wedged in moment. But even though they did give us kind of clues to this on day one at the start of the year. So I don't know.
Here's the bold prediction. No Rock and Reigns go to a 1-hour draw at Mania.
Oh no.
Get out.
All right.
Get out.
No.
It ends in a disqualification. They go, we'll do it again next year. And it's like,
poor Cody.
I mean, the side tangent. It's like as much as I can see it happening, and like it's another way to keep the title on Roman for another year. It's like it's a thing for another day. I am getting sick of this now. It's like I like a long reign. I do.
Yeah.
Stop this now.
Stop
it now.
We like long title reigns, but
yes.
We don't like this long title reign. Roman Reigns.
I would say if Roman had been defending it regularly last year and stuff like that, it's like fine, is what it is. He's the draw, and he is a draw. And it's like only 3 or 4 defenses last year. There's Rumble, Elimination Chamber, Mania, SummerSlam, and Crown Jewel. 5 defenses, and it's like Seth, bless him,
nearly the same as the other.
No, not Roman. Seth, bless him, with his current leg injuries and all that sort of stuff, has been going pretty solid as a defending. I mean, narrative might not always work, but there's a champion there. The same with Gunther as well. The funniest thing as a joke, and it's basically it's like the whole Logan Paul US title reign at the moment is being quite funny on commentary, where basically he's been going, I'm the greatest US champion ever. And then Kevin Patrick, possibly now former SmackDown commentator, is kind of going, but you haven't defended it once. Just very quietly on the microphone.
That's why he was fired.
It's basically the Sailor Moon tuxedo mask meme. It's like my work here is done, except but you didn't defend it.
Bye.
But you haven't defended it, Logan. Logan, come back. What are you doing, Logan? But I do like that level of arrogance there. I'm the greatest champion, but you've won it and you haven't had a defense.
You've just tried to spawn off the places.
You cheated a win with accidental knuckle dusters.
But in terms of Rock being on the board of directors, though, it is kind of fascinating. Just as like a general overview point of it's like you've got Triple H literally helming WWE, and now you've got The Rock as one of the board of directors. It's like
I'm just waiting for Stone Cold to be announced in some form. You got the
No, no,
trifecta.
Clearly, there are some big plans in the way, and it wouldn't surprise
Yeah.
me if Rock. This is just me spitballing, obviously, but if Rock got wind that Netflix was potentially going to be in a big way,
Yeah.
I think that may have been a big plan because he owns a production company. So you can imagine there's probably ways to do more Netflix-funded programming. Oh, can you imagine all the freaking crossovers we're going to get now? Like whatever sitcom Netflix decide to produce, and randomly, I don't know, like Akira Tozawa shows up or something in like a CrossFit challenge. I don't know.
Again, it's like, and we've talked about it when it comes to wrestlers deciding whether they go with one company or the other. The fact is now with Netflix, it's like WWE stars, if they want to branch out to things like Hollywood and stuff like that, they're getting they're getting the components in place. There's no other successful wrestler turned actor than The Rock at the moment, commercially. Critically, you can look at Batista. But in terms of commercially, The Rock has done it all at the box office, all that in that element as well. You look at, it's like you just look at the whole business landscape of what WWE can now do with the people in those roles. If it's like Bianca Belair, Montez Ford have got their reality show starting very, very soon as well. It's like there is a lot of opportunity for stars to, if they want to try and make a name for themselves and get onto that platform that elevates them to a global audience. I mean, side tangent on the Okada side of things. It's like, I think for me, if Okada hadn't gone to AEW, hadn't done some stuff for AEW already, I would have gone, yeah, he's going to AEW. It makes sense there. But I think we've kind of seen the matches that we expect to see him do in AEW with Danielson and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, what benefit to your career? What kind of addition to your legacy will just going to AEW? Whereas WWE now have Netflix. They now have the global reach is getting ridiculously big. If you want to make a name and a legacy on a great international stage, this is the time to go. So it's like,
ultimately with Okada, though, it also comes down to what does he want to achieve.
Yes,
that's the thing as well, because he's done pretty much everything you could do at the top of the biggest promotion in Japan.
Yeah.
So at that point, and look, I'll be honest, I'd love to see him in AEW. I really would. I think there is so much you could do with him there, with the talent there and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, it wouldn't necessarily be a challenge. And you can kind of just get that inkling that looking at, let's call it like it is, you look at the current state of Nakamura being as high profile as he is, and the way they've really integrated using subtitles into his promos and stuff, really embracing finally, let's call it like it is, foreign culture. I'll call it like it is, because you never would have seen that a few years ago using subtitles and promos. You look at Damage Control on SmackDown, and quite frankly, the excellent Japanese women's talent they've got involved in that. They're really going a lot more international, and those four people are just the perfect advert to say to Okada, hey, this is what we can do for you. Come on by. We'll help you out. Come on, buddy.
The fact, and also in my head at the moment, is like the prospect of Okada versus Gunther, Okada versus Dragunov.
Yeah, oh
it's like there are people on the WWE roster who probably not met Okada on the international trail, on the independent trail, and you're just going, I'm just very curious because of AEW, we've kind of seen him, well, not in AEW, but we've seen him take on Omega. You've seen him take on Ospreay. You've seen him take on Danielson. I think he might have clashed with Moxley in the G1. I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone?
I believe they've definitely had at least one match together. Remember,
but the big guns that you would expect Okada to take on in AEW, he kind of already has. So if you're looking for if you're looking for a challenge and looking for new opponents or new styles to mesh with, new people to work with, again, WWE seems, as much as I know it's gonna annoy a lot of like hardcore AEW fans and possibly New Japan fans, maybe WWE is the best place for him right now. Or if he really wants to kind of really put himself on another level or challenge, then do so there. I would probably not take him, because I know there was an early report this week about him starting at NXT, and I don't think that's going to happen. I
If that were to happen, he'd be
no.
there for a week.
I would be absolutely stunned if that happened. I mean, I can see him possibly come in for Mania if they're going to do if the enticement is you'll be on Mania card this year if you come and sign with us now. Then it's like you pick your opponent. We will do whatever you want to do if you sign with us. Here's the thing.
Or possibly the Raw after Mania, because that's usually the big show after Mania.
His contract. I think his contract is because I think contractually. I think
a few
he's
more
almost,
matches.
Contractually,
He's now after tomorrow at the time of recording. So on Wednesday the 25th, he wrestles. Or it was today. He wrestled his last official match for New Japan. So he's out of contract, but he's honoring his February bookings, which I think he's got 2 or 3 matches.
So, in theory,
I know what you're going to say.
He could be at the Rumble. If he's out of contract and he's only got a few dates,
then you're right.
They did it with Cole Anderson when he came back. They kind of said, "I'm going to do these dates. Is that okay? Yeah, fine. Come back."
I mean, it didn't help. It didn't help. He was still a champion as well, and they kind of went with advertising. That's
the thing. But if they wanted to make it work,
they
WWE will make it work. I mean,
otherwise, I will say if he's not on Mania, I could see him being on the NXT Takeover that weekend because you want the hardcore fans there.
Oh yeah.
They probably book an arena. That would be the time to do it.
I mean, if your main event for that is Dragunov versus Okada.
And someone eloquently put on Twitter earlier today that I saw, and I can't remember who it is, so I can't give proper credit, but they basically just said, Okada and Ilya is basically a Dragon Ball battle in real life.
Yes, it is.
It is. It won't take 5 episodes, though.
Right?
Or 2 seasons, I don't know. It's been a while.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I think on that note, I think we're going to wrap up for today, everybody. But thank you very much for listening and or watching. If you want to find out more about BunkaMania, best way to do that is, of course, hit the subscribe button, be it on your podcast provider of choice or on YouTube. Do let us know what you think, of course. And Ian, before we go properly, as it were, if people want to get in touch, what is the best way they can do that?
Well, they can Rainmaker a clothesline email over to us at contact@bunkamania.com. See, I managed to get the Okada reference in today.
There you go. And Harry, if people want to find you online, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter at MangaGirl232. YouTube is youtube.com/MangaGirl232. Sorry, I forgot my own thing there. And Twitch, Harriet_MangaGirl.
With that being said, thank you very much for tuning in. Until next time, take care, enjoy wrestling, and get ready for the Rumble this weekend, because we haven't even talked about that because so much else has happened. What the heck is wrong with wrestling?
I mean,
nothing. Enjoy it.
Let's end this all together with a good 3, 2, 1 countdown. Ready?
Okay.
3.
It's going to work so well online, isn't it?
All together now. With me now. 3,
3,
2, 1.